All right, let's hit the early waiver wire real quick. The first two guys, we've talked about them at length. They're both great pickups if you can get them. We've told you about their stat lines. Excellent. Zay Jones, only 51% owned. Evan Engram, only 56% owned. They both had monster games. If they're available, you should absolutely snatch them up.
Yes, 77 yards, 8 receptions, 12 targets for Zay Jones. He's seen at least 10 targets in 4 of his last 5 games. Guy's been a monster, but Engram at a tight end position. Again, we mentioned no other tight end has had double-digit catches, 11, 120 or more yards. He had 162 and 2 scores. So this was the best receiving game of a tight end all year. A 15-target day, no catches, all were team highs in terms of targets, receptions, receiving yards, TDs. Just a great day. He looked incredible today. And the only other guy that you want to first check for, 58% roster, so he's likely gone, but Donovan Peoples-Jones, again, those 12 targets, 8 catches, 114 yards, may have got dropped last week after Watson's pathetic performance. Go check for DPJ. Now we'll dive into some players that are at least out there in over 50% of leagues.
DJ Chark, we also talked about at length. He's only 40% owned. You should grab him too if he's out there. Seriously, exactly. Do it.
I mean, yeah, 100%. 94 yards, 7 targets, 6 catches, a touchdown in for almost all of the pass routes, the same amount as Amon-Ra St. Brown, 60 snaps compared to 61 for Amon-Ra. An every down player right now. Yeah, Jameson Williams came in. He had that touchdown, and eventually that role will go up. But I imagine it's going to be an every down role still for Chark, where they moved Amon to the slot full-time, have those 2 speed demons on the outside. It's going to be a dangerous attack. Really good stuff from DJ Chark. Chuba Hubbard, only 33% rostered, got dropped pretty much everywhere in competitive leagues. If you had him, wasn't doing much. Did have 14 carries, 74 and a touchdown in addition to 3 catches, 25 yards. Seemed like they started to turn this backfield over. Foreman just wasn't getting it done. 5.3 yards per carry for Chuba compared to 3.5 for Donta Foreman. It seems tricky to trust, but this offense has gained some new life under Sam Darnold, of all people. He has really turned this team around the past 2 weeks. So both backs viable, but Chuba out there in more leagues, worth checking out.
All right. Do I venture a guess pronouncing this?
Chigoziem Okonkwo.
It's exactly what I was going to say. 6 out of 6 targets and catches and targets, 45 yards and a touchdown in the Titans. Week 14 loss to the Jags. That's not nothing. That's a pretty good stat line.
No, we talked about him, remember, Truth, as our Hail Mary tight end of the week.
14% owned, by the way.
He's only 14% rostered. We recommended if you were dress fit for a tight end today, this guy was leading the NFL entering the game in yards per route run among the tight end position. He continued to make plays when his number was called. 6'5", athletic freak. And when they did not have Treylon Burks, they needed a playmaker. Okonkwo ended up becoming that main vein for a lot of this game. Really, really productive playmaker. An even bigger main vein of his passing attack today, Chris Moore. Another guy we highlighted, another Hail Mary of the week.
It's true. We hit on Hail Marys pretty good.
I think I crushed it this week when we did the higher, lower Hail Marys. My Hail Marys, Chris Moore was actually on there because we knew Cooks and Collins were going to be out. I emphasized that Moore's a baller, that every time he gets in there, he plays well. He had 4 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown his last time as the number 1 receiver. He well outdid himself this time. 11 targets, 10 catches, 124 yards, just ripping yards after the catch, down the sidelines, tiptoes, getting it in there. He played really, really well. Ultimately, 53 of the 60 snaps was in nearly all the plays, ran 27 to 28 routes. 11 were a team high by 7. The next closest guy had 4. So Moore was the clear vein of this passing attack. They have a nice schedule down the stretch. Honestly, I don't think we see Brandon Cooks the rest of the year. Maybe Nico Collins does return, but it seems like Chris Moore, very trusted in this offense, and definitely a guy. It seems crazy. If you're desperate at wide receiver, this guy could be a wide receiver 3 down the stretch for you.
Who, Robinson? You think so?
No, I think Chris Moore.
Chris Moore. I was going to say, I don't know. What do you think? All right, let's talk about Demarcus Robinson. What do you think about him?
I mean, 6 targets, 5 catches, 52 yards, only 15% rostered. It's been, now 4 of his last 6 weeks. He's had 6 more targets. Most of those he's had 9+. He's the main receiver here at this point, and it does seem like Andrews is banged up. He's running around hurt there. It seems like Demarcus Robinson could emerge as that go-to guy. They have the second easiest schedule for wide receivers. That's the really only reason I mention it is they've got another matchup against Pittsburgh. They've got Atlanta on the docket, so they have some nice soft teams to go against. So Robinson could end up being something down the stretch, as could 2 other receivers.
Yeah, well, we talked about Chris Moore. What about Elijah Moore? Corey Davis out with a head injury. They do have an extremely easy schedule moving forward. He caught 6 passes on 10 targets for 60 yards in the Jets' loss to the Bills. That's not nothing. I mean, he had been basically MIA for quite a while.
The entire season after
Right,
leading the team
right,
as a rookie.
quite a while.
really long time. Led the team in receiving last year. Had a stretch where he was a top 5 wide receiver for a 4 or 5 week span with Mike White and Joe Flacco, and then just disappeared once Zach Wilson came back. But yeah, this is promising to see. Again, the only risk is Mike White was rushed to the hospital. If he's out for a while, we have to go back to Zach Wilson. None of these receivers, only Garrett Wilson should be trusted, and even then, he'd be significantly riskier. Last receiver of note, Richie James, 11% roster right now. He saw 9 targets, 7 catches, 61 yards, ultimately fouled the end zone as well. So a solid day for Richie James. Did come in garbage time, but points are points, and this team does suck. So at times, they're going to have plenty of these opportunities to chuck. I just wanted to give that one last reminder, too. When we get into the waiver wire on Tuesday at 7 p.m. when I do my usual show, come on in, Wolfpack. Would love to have you. But this is the time of the year both to stash up on defenses. Hopefully you saw it. You can rewind and go back to last week's episode. Talk about a lot of the best defenses to stash ahead of time and also handcuffs. So remember those Alexander Madisons, those Khalil Herbert about to come back from injury would be a true running back one if something happens to David Montgomery. We got, of course, Jordan Mason today ripping it up at 15% roster. If McCaffrey ended up going down, you'd have yourself a league winner. And like I mentioned, ahead of tonight, and if you're catching the replay right now, maybe you look for him on Tuesday. Josh Kelly, if something ever happened to Eckler, he's the clear number 2. We saw Justin Jackson go for over 30 fantasy points last year in week 16 when Eckler missed a game. That's how valuable this offense and that running back role is within it. So those are all some guys you can look for on your waiver wire. It is cuffing season, folks.
It is cuffing season. Take advantage. That's a great tip. Seriously, do it. You got nothing to lose, and it could pay off big time. All right, so that finishes the news.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.